fabulous stories, family stories with your guests, Sophie. This is the scene here. I've just been out with the crowds. They flocked down from their perches and pavements, and they've come here to see the balcony moment. Katie Nicholl, royal author, with me. What should we look for on what's coming up on the balcony?
Well, we're going to see the King, the Queen, we'll see the Prince and Princess of Wales and their children, we'll see the Edinburghs, and we are seeing the sort of core royal family. And, when you consider this moment 80 years ago, it's going to look very different, but that sense of continuity is really important.
And let's remember that we're getting this rather intriguing net curtain image as the doors open, Katie, evoking what happened several balcony appearances on this day 80 years ago.
No, absolutely, and to see the King and the Queen leading the charge here, stepping out onto the balcony, followed by the Princess Royal and her husband, Vice Timothy Lawrence, of course the Waleses and their three little ones making their debut for a VE Day commemoration. This is a very, very important moment. We didn't know if this balcony moment was going to happen, but it feels that it feels right. This feels very much what people expect now. These moments we associate with troopings, with jubilees, and now with the 80th commemoration of VE Day. And of course, the Duke of Kent, who's looking very, very frail, but in his medals, in his military uniform, just making his way over to stand with the Princess Royal.
Right, we are looking at wave one of the fly past. The Lancaster from the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, built in May 1945. This fabulous Lancaster. James, what is the significance of this beautiful big bird?
Well, it was the mainstay of the RAF Corps of Command. It was the workhorse, could carry a payload of 10 tons, involved in some of the most famous RAF raids of the entire war.
Flown today by Flight Lieutenant Seb Davey and Squadron Leader Ernie Wise. Navigated by Wing Commander Mark McNulty. Wave 2, we're going to look at the Voyager and the Atlas. The Voyager in front, the Royal Air Force's sole air-to-air refueler. The fuel necessary for refueling operations, as well as the aircraft itself, are carried within the tanks in the wings, the centre, and even the tail. Flying the Voyager, Flight Lieutenant Jason Olty, Flight Lieutenant Will Ricketts, Flight Lieutenant Andy Theobald, and Sergeant Andy Bone. Behind, we're looking at the Atlas. On the right of our picture, it's an airlift that can carry a 30-ton payload over 2,000 miles. Listen to that thunderous roar. It can land on remote airfields on short or unprepared strips too. The Globemaster provides the Royal Air Force with a long-range strategic heavy lift transport aircraft that can operate in support of combat, peacekeeping, or humanitarian missions worldwide. Now, you look at the belly of that big bird, and you can tell somehow that that's capable of lifting giant forces, thousands of tons.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate little Louis, because he will always make a balcony appearance all the more enjoyable, but he really does seem to enjoy it.
Let's hope there's more, and we're all looking at the Poseidon in the middle. That is a Marine Patrol aircraft, and on each wing a Typhoon, and the Poseidon has the latest technology to detect, identify, and monitor targets above and below the waves. And the Typhoons are from RAF Coningsby in Lincolnshire and one from RAF Lossiemouth in Scotland.
We'll have lip readers on that, don't worry. Give us a minute, just to hear exactly what they're saying, but a real moment for the children to be witnessing. Not their first fly past, but this one is special.
Wave 5 of our fly past now. This is the rivet joint in the centre, a dedicated electronic surveillance aircraft. Its sensors within soak up electronic emissions from communications, radar and other systems. And on each wing is the F-35B Lightning, a multi-role next generation of combat aircraft, which can operate on aircraft carriers too. Now let me speak in advance of the Red Arrows, who will see 9 Hawks of the Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team and 4 Lightnings. The Red Arrows are led by Red 1, Squadron Leader John Bond. There they clear our screen. James, you feel we've been shaken in our little perch down here by the boom.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a splendid sight, isn't it? And there's nothing like fast jets and heavy jets going over you to kind of feel the kind of weight of air power.
Well, now, I promised you the national anthem, I think an hour ago, so I was very early in promising you the national anthem. Katie Nicholl.
Well, it's a spectacle, isn't it? This is the King's first VE Day commemoration. Of course, we've been so used to seeing our late Queen lead these commemorations. This is the King, this is the Queen, this is the future as well. That idea of continuity, that link with the armed forces, with the veteran community, that means so much to our monarch, to the Queen. A wave there from the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. Of course, we had 8 balcony appearances 80 years ago. I think that's just one for today, but it was a special one to end on.
And my mind goes now to the veterans that are here, up to 50 of them, and there they are, in the crowd. Sophie, back to you.
Well, what a sight that was. We had a spectacular view here by the lake in St James's Park. And Ruth Claver, you during the war were the mechanic on those aeroplanes. Your smile when you saw that Lancaster bomber come over, that sound must have just been, you must recognise that instantly.
Well, it was all a very long time ago, but memories do come back, and that sound, yes, of playing. And of course, when I first started work on the aerodrome, we had Wellingtons. They were 2-engine bombers, and then we had some Halifaxes, and then Lancasters. Fantastic planes. But of course, for me, there's a sad memory, because a man I was very fond of was a pilot, Lancaster pilot, who was, after many successful sorties and distinguished flying cross and all that, he was shot down after an important mission. And I think it's terribly important, while we celebrate, for us to remember that war is a terrible thing, and the people you love are killed. We must get back to the point where we felt we were after the end of World War II, that sitting round the table and talking would sort out problems. You didn't have to kill each other. We didn't have to kill each other. If you don't find a solution, you sit down again and you talk some more. I think we have to remember, don't you think, that of course we're remembering a victory and it might not have happened. If you lived through it, there were so many times when we felt maybe we're not going to win this war. And I can't help thinking of Winston Churchill, of course, who somehow made us feel we will get through it somehow or other. But the essential thing I think we have to remember is that young people must do all they can to avoid another war.
You are 101 years old. You are here today. Do you feel that events like this, which remind people, which mark what happened, which mark the end of war in Europe, do you think that will pass it on to the next generation? Do you think that helps to pass on that legacy?
Well, since you ask, I do wonder whether we're not glorifying war in some way, because to be on the winning side is obviously a good thing, but there's so much loss.
Millions and millions and millions of people
And I
died.
do think that young people must remember that, must get to know that. It's not just a bit of history, it's millions of lives are ruined. The good things we've built up are destroyed and have to be rebuilt. So I do think that as well as rejoicing, and of course the fly past is amazing, but many people died in these days.
And that is going to be remembered, isn't it, on Thursday? There's going to be this service at Westminster Abbey, and that is all about that, isn't it? It's about marking the people who did not come back.
It will be, and of course, you know, we'll be hearing from the King on Thursday as well. Who'll be echoing his grandfather's speech. You know, he talked, you know, on VE Day 1945 about remembering those who didn't come back. There are so many echoes from the past. I just noticed there actually during the flypast, watching Prince Louis and the children watching it. Princess of Wales was wearing an RAF wings brooch. Her grandfather was a fighter pilot. So absolutely, I mean, there is celebration for VE Day, but also remembering, and there'll be somber moments later in the week too.
And Ruth, I must ask you, when you were working on these aeroplanes, some of the ones we just saw going overhead, the Lancaster, as you said, did you get a chance to go up in them? Did you fly them?
Oh yes, of course. And of course, there was a wonderful system in the RAF. You had to sign for every job you did. And if it was a major job, now here's an interesting bit. The men who would be a team working on that major job, the men had to go on the test flight, the women didn't. But I loved flying in those days, and I would get myself a parachute and ask the pilot if I could come too. And so yes, of course I went up in them, yes, yes.
And it was amazing because you started that job fixing those aircraft. As you said to me earlier, you didn't ever use a spanner, you didn't even know what one was, and yet you went on to be able to fix aircraft like that. That period of the war did really transform a lot of women's lives, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yes, yes. I do think that, yes, two important lessons. One, we can all get on together. We don't have to fight each other. We can talk and compromise. And yes, the other one is about learning from each other.
Well, we've got wonderful timing now because the flypast has happened, the crowds are dispersing, and it is suddenly, as you can see, pouring with rain outside us. But it's wonderful to have you here with your newly acquired medals, which you should have had such a long time ago. What does it mean, just a final thought from you, to be here today?
Well, of course, although I never expected medals, and so didn't even sign that form, I could have got them about 80 years ago, you know. Um, but of course it means something, and reminds me that I was part of a wonderful organisation.
You certainly were. Ruth, it's been so
And
lovely.
It's very, very nice to be here, to be talking about it.
It's wonderful to have you here, Roya, as well. Thank you both so much for joining us this afternoon. And that brings to an end today's spectacular events. We will be back on Thursday, which is VE Day itself, live from 10:45 in the morning as the King and Queen join World War II veterans for a service of thanksgiving at Westminster Abbey. Then later on, Horse Guards Parade will be the venue for a celebration to remember. A glittering array of stars will join together with the veterans to put on a party like no other at 8 p.m. that evening. I hope you enjoy the rest of today's bank holiday with street parties and celebrations. I hope you're not getting too wet. I'll be visiting Alex on the One Show sofa later at 6:30 this evening to tell you more about what's coming up this week. But for now, from all of us here at the BBC, it's goodbye.